Welcome back to episode 3 of The Scoop, also known as The Scoop Around the Loop. We're sorry we're here at 2:30. Andrew, do you want to explain why we're late?
Yeah, my daughter, my oldest girl, got her permit today, and so we had to squeeze in an appointment, and we actually got in at the scheduled time, so that was a big deal. But yeah, my oldest daughter now can drive with an adult, and I am looking forward to having a
She could drive
chauffeur.
in Target and Casey's and stuff without a
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking like to showings or like around town.
Did she ask to drive home?
No, because I had my truck. She doesn't want to drive my truck yet. So
That's fair.
yeah.
I want to
Anyways.
point out that there was a lot of negatives, obviously, of the COVID pandemic, but one of the positives is that the Iowa DOT started doing that scheduling.
hmm
It's a lot more convenient. The DOT is just a little less annoying than it used to be. So
I will
let's-
say the people that the last two times we've gone have been very, very pleasant to deal with. I think they appreciate when people are nice to them. So
okay.
there's that.
Local news. Let's talk coffee. Andrew, you're probably the biggest coffee guy of the group here, right? Or Tyler,
Yep.
have you started finally drinking coffee?
No, that is nasty.
That was a one hit wonder. That
No, yeah,
coffee,
I was-
that
I was
gas
not-
station in Colorado.
yeah,
I can't think of a worse place to start than with gas station coffee.
I've started at other places before. None of them
Okay.
are good. I didn't like the gas station coffee. I knew I wasn't going to like it, but it needed to be done for the safety of my family. So I'll do anything for my family.
Brady.
Including drinking coffee.
Brady, are you a big coffee drinker?
No, I'm with Tyler on this one. Not at all.
It's definitely an acquired taste. I used to never drink it, and then I
Okay.
started figuring out what I liked, and then
I could certainly appreciate a cool, vibey coffee shop.
hmm
But I found, because my wife, Hannah, is a big time coffee drinker. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but whenever she goes out of town, she has to hit up like a local coffee shop or two.
That's gonna be annoying. Sorry. Shut
the
up.
motion light.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me and beer, I suppose, where I like to go to different breweries and new places. But the thing that bothers me the most about coffee shops, that as a not coffee drinker, is the shops that only serve coffee. Like, some places will serve smoothies or even just little treats that I can indulge in while Hannah gets her coffee. But
Or some of them have like an energy drink option and stuff like that.
yeah,
I
I'll
agree
take
with you.
that, but yeah, some of them I'm just like, dang, I just have to sit here, I guess.
So Zanzibar's Coffee Adventure, which
Speaking
is
of places that have just coffee.
yeah, just coffee. It's in Des Moines, is known now as the #1 independent coffee shop in the state of Iowa, according to On Deck, who just basically used TripAdvisor ratings, which they rated at a 4.6. So
Have you ever been there, Thomas?
I have not. I've always been either Friedrichs or Smoky Road person.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I'm trying to think. I mean, it's not so much a Friedrichs. It's kind of like a Smoky Row. It's a cool vibe. I mean, Tyler, if you like vibey, like it's a place to check out for sure.
It's on Ingersoll. Is that where
Yep.
it is?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Kurt
Yeah,
Moore, who also is an avid coffee drinker, has never been to Zanzibar, so hopefully we're not blowing up the spot here. Hopefully they can keep up with traffic and everything like that.
Because
I have been to Zanzibar before. I didn't drink anything, literally. I met
But
a
you've
friend,
been there.
and we talked about real estate a couple of years ago. But I would say that, again, if I didn't live here, a place like that on a street like Ingersoll is where Hannah would end up if we were visiting from out of town, is this exact coffee bar. Because, again, I have been there, and it's a really cool spot.
Andrew, where is your go-to coffee place?
Well, so I think Coffee Smith and Waukee is really good. They have a drink called the Pablo Honey. It's like drinking cinnamon sugar toast, if there's such a thing. Like it's delicious. But I mean, I mean, honestly, I drink any coffee. I love coffee. I can't get enough coffee. I mean, it'd be 8 o'clock at night, and I'll just crave it. Um, I like gas station coffee too. Um, Hy-Vee has Caribou coffee, so that's really good.
Or Starbucks. They have both. Well,
No,
you're
I mean
right. They
like
serve Caribou coffee. You're
yeah,
right. You're right.
yeah. But Smoky Row is always really good. I really like the Red Eye. You know, when we all worked at Shields, the coffee bar would make us. I called it the Springer drink, which was uh, is a Starbucks blonde roast. I had them put a cup of ice in it and a shot of espresso. So it cooled it down and you drank it super fast and you could feel the caffeine course through your veins.
Yeah, it was
And then
designed to be chugged.
and then the Springer had 2 shots of espresso.
I did one of those once back in the day, slinging
Okay,
shoes.
how is cocaine illegal, but something like that is legal?
We're not the right guys to talk to, though.
It sounds like the same exact impact on.
No, it's a little different. It's a little different.
I wouldn't know.
You have to pee after you drink this.
I wouldn't know about cocaine.
One
so
way it's different.
Neither would I. I'm just curious because that sounds like the same exact effects there.
Just so we're all safe, can we all say we don't know anything about cocaine?
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Next slide. Andrew, you want to talk a little bit about this Grimes
Yeah, so
rezoning request that came up?
Yeah, this just came up. So I don't know if you have the second picture in there.
I don't. I'm sorry.
So that whole kind of section, so you see in the bottom right hand corner where it looks like farm field, like that's going to be zoned as well. That's a different ownership group that's going to do that. But it's I think 1,600 homes is what they, 1,600 residential units coming. Grimes has a kind of a home shortage for all the development they have going on. And I imagine people in Grimes probably don't love that because it does have kind of a small town vibe, in certain parts of it. But I think the important thing to discern from this or to take away is the assessed value of that whole thing. They think is going to assess around $250 million. For context, right now it assesses all that farmland, those particular parcels, assessed for about $300,000. So you're talking 10 times what they're getting at a minimum in tax revenue for the city, which means, could mean a lot of things. Could mean improvements and infrastructure, more money to the schools, or just straight up less money per taxpayer, with all the new revenue coming in. So good news for them. It's going to be kind of start connecting Grimes to Urbandale. It's kind of that parcel of land. The very far edge, the western edge there, the left on the screen is County Line Road. That's kind of a gravel road once it gets past that school that you can kind of see. So I think it's exciting for the Des Moines metro area. So
Yeah, and I mean it's really just starting to build up that whole like what we would call like the western suburbs area, and just starting to bring even more and more people to that area. Grimes' population right now is just under 15,000. I mean, adding this many houses is just a lot more people, and it's just going to keep feeding into that loop where they're going to be able to get. This has commercial zone to it, but they're going to be able to get more and more commercial people in. But I don't really know, and maybe you guys would know something off your head. There's not really much Grimes doesn't have right now as far as commercial development. Can you guys even think of anything? I mean,
no, because they have, they have kind of unique things like Sky Zone and stuff like that, but they've got a Menards, they've got a Walmart, a Target, or not a Target, excuse me, a Walmart, Hy-Vee, and a Fairway, and Aldi.
They have a big basketball complex.
their parks department's not all that bad either. And then, I mean, it's just going to keep getting better. As someone that's grown up in Norwalk, I'm kind of starting to become jealous of Grimes because it seems like they
tell
get
your-
a lot of stuff that Norwalk would love to have.
Tell your people to stop being so resistant to it, Thomas.
I think part of it is because Norwalk is just like that little bit closer to West Des Moines. So it's hard for people like Walmart or Hy-Vee to justify investing in going to Norwalk when logically they know that those people in Norwalk are just a 10-minute drive away from a Hy-Vee, a 10-minute
Sure.
drive away from a Target. So
That's kind of been Hy-Vee's deal. You know, they own the land. They're kitty corner from Greg Young in Norwalk, and they don't want to. You know, I think Norwalk is low on their priority list, whereas Hy-Vee is high on Norwalk's priority list. But I think there's something like 7 Hy-Vees within 5 miles, or 5 Hy-Vees within 7 miles, or something like that to Norwalk. So they know people will drive.
That sounds about right. And actually, I don't even know if well, anyone that's listening to this gets in a hot tip. Norwalk residents, if you really want a Hy-Vee to come to Norwalk, don't use Fuel Saver, because that's how they know where you're coming from. So
This will be This will be one that will clip for social media.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we don't really have a featured listing this week, so I wanted to just feature a local market, and we can kind of talk about what's going on in more specific zip codes and stuff like that, and kind of talk about what we see happening in total. So I can read through these really quick, but West Des Moines, specifically the 50265 zip code, we're looking at months of inventory right now of 2 months, which is still considered a seller's market. That is an increase of what it was last year. Median days on market, not average days on market, is 33 right now for residential single family. And last year at this time, it was 10. List to sold percentage, we're looking at 98.3, not much different from last year, 98.8. Median sold price, we're looking at 317 compared to last year, 311. So that is up, which is really, really positive. Is there anything that stands out to you guys while looking at this?
Well, that's our home zip code, 50265. I've always, I mean, obviously I live in Johnston, but when we were looking for our home, that was a zip code that we definitely looked in. Again, kind of the same thing with that zip code in particular. You're like in the middle of everything. You're right by the interstate and not too far from downtown. Not that you're that far away from downtown in the 50266 zip code, but I feel like 50265 gets you even closer to that. Obviously, Valley High School is in that zip code. You know, Jordan Creek is in 502, or the mall is in 50266 and all that stuff. But none of these numbers surprise me that it's obviously a very popular zip code still. Even though the homes at this point, there's not a whole lot room for new construction of 50265. I'd be curious to know those numbers.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. The thing that I point people to with 50265 is there really just isn't much room for new construction to come in. So, like, if you're kind of thought processing it out,
is there like, I can't think of, it was
you're
down
looking
there
at that
Raccoon River, but all that's developed out or built out.
it's
now.
it's pretty close to. And then there's, well, what is that area even farther on South Grand there? Is that 50266 or is that 50265?
I think 50266 is 60th Street.
So yeah, there's another development.
But I might be wrong. It might be 50th.
I think you're right. It's 60th. I'm looking up really quick. Andrew, you want to talk about anything that stands out to you? I'm looking up really quick to see how much new construction there is available.
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me, I think people see median days on market 33. They're like, oh wow, like that's really bad. But I mean, taking out recency bias of the COVID years, like when it was like 4 hours on market. Like 30 days on market is a pretty healthy market, and pretty neutral market, I should say. So there's definitely deals for buyers and there's definitely deals for sellers, and in a market like this. And 2 months supply, that's still kind of a seller's market. I think 4 months of inventory is considered neutral. Again, it's not like it was during COVID, I think, where we had something like 3 weeks, 2 weeks supply of homes. And just so people understand what that is it's if nothing comes on the market ever again, we have enough homes currently active to last us 2 months, basically, before they get bought up.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how you get that calculation or that figure. But to Tyler's point, it doesn't surprise us. It's still a very desirable area. As you go further west, everything West Des Moines doing west is 50266. You're going to have higher prices because you have more new construction that kind of skews, the data in that sense. But
and just in general, if you were to find land over there, even just changing that zip code, that land goes for a lot more than 50265 does. And that factors into the prices a lot too. And I mean, Jordan Creek is still kind of a behemoth that people want to be close to, but
speaking of that, I do kind of wonder, although technically I think Valley West Mall is in 50266, there's like a weird kind of area north of 235 that is 50266. But I do think that, again, I don't know if it's 50265 or not, but if once that gets kind of redeveloped, whenever all that, because it's in foreclosure right now, but whenever that kind of shakes out, I think that's going to be an opportunity for additional housing. I don't think there's enough money over there to support a whole mall by itself. I live over by there, but I can tell you that I don't have enough money to support just the mall. So I'm speaking from my own.
I think currently the thought it's going to get redeveloped into something. It's more likely going to be some sort of mixed use.
It would look, I think like something like a Prairie Trail in Ankeny or a West Glen, I think would be kind of cool. Where you have mixed use, or some sort of concert venue or event venue, for weddings or something like that. I think could be of use, because I mean, West Bank just built their monster headquarters over there. Yeah, I think with the future thought that that area is going to have a lot of traffic. So
yeah, and then I will also say, like, just a little bit east, you're looking at that. They've been talking a lot about the area just off 235 on 8th Street, trying to get a lot of that redeveloped as well too. So there's even potential there as well.
I guess 50265, you have the area south Walnut Woods, south on 63rd.
Yeah.
That might be about it.
Does anyone want to take a stab at, I just looked this up really quick. How many new construction listings do you think 50265 has right now for sale?
They're townhomes.
25.
Just residential, just single family.
25.
20.
12.
So just to give people a comparison, do you want to take a guess at what 50211 is, which is Norwalk?
40.
140.
86.
83. That was pretty close, Andrew. But just to think, like, there's if there was space to build in West Des Moines, people would be doing it. It's just
so here's interesting thing, the Arilla area, that's 50265.
Okay, so that's probably where a majority of those listings are.
That's where 50. I mean, that's
where I feel like Veterans Parkway.
Yeah, that's going to be the next kind of, I think, boom for West Des Moines.
Most of those are DR, which where we won't get, but that sends out people.
Yeah.
Or potential buyers, I think, when they find that out too, even.
Yeah. So we'll West Des Moines one to watch. I think it's really, really interesting. If I always bring it up to people as far as like, if in my mind, if you're looking at buying a resale home, you can be pretty confident that if you're buying a resale home in West Des Moines, that it's going to appreciate in value.
Yeah.
I think that about a majority of the Des Moines market, but I think West Des Moines is an even safer bet.
I agree. One quick story about zip codes, and in particular 50265 and 50266. I remember learning my zip code, which looking back at it with a young kid, I feel like it's kind of impressive at a pretty young age. But that's because our parents delivered paper, like newspapers. And on Saturday, it was the big Saturday going into Sunday. That was the big newspaper. So as a family, we would always have to go down to the Des Moines Register and help my parents put together the newspaper. You take like the Iowa Life section, the comics, and then whatever the other section is called, put them all together, wrap them up, and put them in a bag. But the comic section, because of the ads in it, the ads were all different in all the different areas. So you had to go up and specifically pick from the 50265 bundles or the 50266 bundles or the try to think of what like the Windsor Heights area that some of them delivered to was. But I remember the learning 50265 and 50266, like that had to have been like one of the first number sequences that I
Did they pay you for helping them out?
Heck no.
they fed me.
Sometimes we got to go. Sometimes we got to go eat dinner afterwards.
Hy-Vee deli, high chai, and sometimes they'd let me out of baseball games in the middle of summer to go do that because I hated that.
Okay, so
I mean, I never understood how it helped, but because you still had to put on Sunday morning, you still had to put like the actual news. That was they couldn't print until 2 a.m. or whatever. But I guess it helped because it was easier to do, I guess. So it built character, Mom, because I know she'll hear this.
back when I did my paper route, I did the lazier option and just showed up at 2 a.m. and grabbed all of it at once.
How many houses did you have
Oh, geez, I don't. I think it was like 70 or something.
in Norwalk?
It was a rural route, so it was south of Norwalk. So I delivered to like Martinsdale and the surrounding area.
Our parents had a motor route, is what it was called. So the Browns Woods area, with houses that had their mailbox, you put the newspaper at the mailbox.
Yep, that's the same thing I did.
You had a motor route.
It was a good time. Brady, you ever do newspapers? You ever deliver papers?
No.
It's the best job ever.
Have you ever read it? Have you ever read a newspaper?
I think like
Or held one in your hand?
I'd read the comics. Yeah, that was about it.
I had
I'm actually a big fan of newspaper. I read a newspaper. I just came back from Arizona, and I think I picked up a newspaper on both the way there and the way back and read some stuff.
God, back in the day, that used to be the only way I could get my sports fix was.
Yeah, I would remember eating cereal and watching the NBA
Sports
box
Center.
scores. I was so locked into like stats when I was young. It was all just because of eating cereal, reading the box scores.
It was Sports Center and then the sports page that came from the Des Moines Register.
And then they also used to have the TV guide in there. And I remember you'd flip through, especially at Christmas time on Sundays or whatever, they'd have the week-long TV guide in there. And I would circle all, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and then my mom would put it on the fridge. And that was like our schedule during Christmas time. Frosty the Snowman is on that Wednesday at 7 p.m.
All right, you guys want to talk about open houses?
Hey, real quick on the listings, we don't have any listings talk about this week, but we do have. So this is kind of a stay tuned, but because of laws and stuff, we can't say what they are, But until within a certain period of listing them, but we've got I think 6 listings coming up in the next few weeks. So
I got another one, so 7.
Yeah, so couple in West Des Moines, 50265, in fact. And yeah, so we'll have more. We're definitely getting into the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's busy time. So Stay
Yeah,
tuned.
reach out to us if you're looking for something that to buy and you don't see anything listed that you want, because we might have it,
Yep.
or someone at our office will have it. So don't be afraid to reach out to an agent early, and
Or Thomas will find it for them because
I
that's his.
will find it for you.
He does that.
I'm fairly good at that. So, okay, Andrew. Or actually, let's start with Brady. Brady, why do we as real estate agents do open houses?
Well, there's kind of two ways to do it. You can do it either so you can get clients for your listing, or for me, when as of right now, I don't have a listing, I go and use it as a way to get potential clients that are coming in. And basically, it's a strategy to be like, okay, well, if this house isn't working for you, this doesn't have anything you want, what else are you looking for? I can help you find it. And then that's kind of the way you start getting connected with other people, and also build relationships with builders like Drake. I've done a bunch of theirs. Really learn more about them as a builder and what they bring to the table. And it's been really cool just kind of getting into it and learning as much as I can.
And that new construction side of it too, it's almost easier because, well, Drake is kind of a different deal, but you host an open house and they sometimes with new construction, it'll be like, I like it except for this, this, and this thing. If you are aware of the builder and know the builder well, it can really feed in easily into that. Well, they can do this, and or this is what they have coming up and stuff like that too. So, Tyler, if you were to sell your home today, would you do an open house?
Yeah. Yeah. If I was a regular buyer or a regular old seller,
Yeah.
yeah, I would. I mean, again, the odds of the house actually selling while your agent is sitting in it, admittingly, are pretty slim. Now, with that said, over my 6 years, we've sold, maybe not right at the open house, but people have come through the open house that eventually bought the listing a handful of times.
Yeah, it happens.
It does work. But I would be straight up lying if I said like that was the main intention of real estate agents when they hold open houses. Now, when I'm holding my own listing open, I find myself like less likely to like refer to other listings, obviously, because I'm obviously trying to push the one I'm in, and less likely to make it an effort to like pursue buyers if I'm sitting in our own listing. But yeah, say, especially if like the home is vacant or, you are out of the house a lot anyways on the weekends and stuff like that, it doesn't hurt anything whatsoever. Now, if you have a bunch of kids and you spend a lot of time at home and leaving for 3 hours on the weekend to potentially have no one come through the house, I could see why people don't want them. But yeah, if I was not an agent, and I listed my home for sale, I would 100% have open houses because you just never know.
Yeah. And I think I always tell sellers, and I try to be as honest with them as possible, like the odds of you selling in are not very high from the open house. It does happen. I've represented buyers that came into open houses two times.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say the same thing on the flip side. Like we've had buyers come through our listings. We've had, while we're sitting at home, we've had buyers go through open houses and they want to go back and look with us and then they offer them.
Yeah. So it does happen. But worst case scenario, I think it's a great way to get feedback beyond just who's sending showing requests as well, too. Because if you have a pretty good feeling that it's priced right and you put up the open house, advertise it online, and only 0 or 1 people show up, then maybe you don't have as much confidence. Or if you just get a bunch of feedback and it's really, really negative, maybe that can drive down confidence. Or like my situation with Walnut 2 weeks ago, we put an open house up for it and we had 15 groups come through. So it can be a really good way to get feedback at the very least. Andrew, what do you think?
Well, that Walnut House is in the 50265 zip code.
Yep.
So it all
Valley Junction, more specifically. Hot
I
market.
would say
Speaking of which,
kind of
Springer Brother Real Estate Team has a Valley Junction video dropping soon.
Yeah, be on the lookout.
it's kind of fun filming that because Brady was doing his part. People thought it was the news, and so they're all waving. They wave. I think to everybody, kind of what everybody said, truth be told, agents do open houses to pick up clients. The most likely people to buy when you look at from a marketing standpoint, you can send a mailer to somebody's house. You can do, different things. You can track behavior online, so that that's how advertisers feed you ads that you see. So if you're looking at mortgage info, you'll probably get a housing ad of some sort. But when we send stuff to homes, we don't know if they're going to move. The hope is that when they move, they remember us. But if somebody comes through a hi Hannah, I bet that was for me.
She literally just texted me too, like 2 seconds before she commented that. And I was talking about you earlier in your love for coffee and random coffee shops that in small towns.
Hannah is Tyler's wife. Dang it. What was I saying? Oh, so, I think people coming through open houses are in that kind of that buying mode. Those are their buying signals they're putting out. Because I know I'm not going to walk through an open house if I don't have to. There's a lot of things I'd rather be doing personally. But on the flip side, should you hold it open? Really, it kind of depends on what you got going on that day. If the Broncos are playing, we probably aren't doing an open house. But I'll always say that no one will ever come through your house if the door is closed. At least if the door is open, you have a chance that someone's going to walk in and fall in love with it. So, to Tyler's point, the odds of it selling because of the open house are slim, but it's not zero. It's not zero. So, and I mean, a lot of factors go into open house traffic too. If it's super sunny out on a spring day, people probably want to be out enjoying the sun. If it's raining, people could come to the open house because there's nothing else to do, but also they could stay away because it's raining. They don't want to get wet. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So
the biggest thing I've noticed is when it snows, no one comes.
Well, and I do think too, like, I think when it snows, there was a lawsuit recently where somebody fell at a home going for a showing, and they sued the
because
seller.
It wasn't shoveled. Yeah.
And so I think like that kind of, which don't even get me started on that. That's like an open and obvious thing. Like you could fall if you walk, but that creates other, liability exposures for sellers. They might say, I don't want to deal with that risk. But I do think open houses have changed quite a bit, like even in the last 2 years. I don't know what it is. It could be the law, as far as, buyer agencies now needing, you need those to show houses. I don't know if that's just changed consumer behavior in general, but and maybe it's our photos are way better, so people get a better idea of what a house looks like. They don't need to go through open houses. And but it does, to me, seem like open house traffic has changed in the last couple of years. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've noticed, like, again, compared to when I first started, I remember at the very least, like when I first started, if I didn't get any type of leads or anything, and again, like this is important when you first start, open houses where it allow me to get experience, like talking to people and like, and I'm sure Brady, you're seeing this, like just getting a feel for talking to people about homes and what they want and their goals and trying to break down those barriers. But like anymore, which I would say I'm pretty good at doing that stuff now, so it's not as much about that anymore. But it seems like anymore, most people that come through open houses are just kind of cold. I don't know. And maybe it's me, but I'd like to think I do a decent job of being warm to people, but just being cold and like not talkative or, very shy or whatever you want to call it, which part of me gets. By this by this time, a lot of people know what's up with open houses and why people aren't doing them. Some don't care. But from my perspective, I'm like, dude, I'm here on a Sunday or Saturday holding this house open. I have no idea who you are, but because I'm here, you're allowed to come check it out. I don't know. That's kind of my one complaint. Is sometimes I feel
that way too.
Time on the weekends, and then all it is just like, for lack of a better term, a couple of jerks that come through. And
kind of reminds me of working at Shields when you got that grumpy customer that didn't want to talk to you about what they wanted for shoes.
Yeah, but then made you go back and get 5 pairs of shoes, and they all suck.
You came to me, so I think, we're not, like, we didn't make you come in here and talk to us,
I mean, in short, for me, admittedly, open houses aren't my favorite thing to do as a real estate agent. I don't know anyone who's like loves to do them, but we're definitely willing and able to do them. Depending on the situation or the house, we adjust, how we do them, if we're offering goodies or refreshments at the open houses. I don't know.
Has there ever, for anyone, has there ever been something that you feel like attracted people to the open house? I know we've done giveaways, fun stuff like that, but
I personally have never, giveaways, and like whenever I've gotten like goodies, I'm the one that eats them all.
Yeah.
And like start off, if I get some cookies, I'll start off and eat a couple just to make it seem like people have come through.
Put some crumbles on.
Yeah, by the end, there was 30 people have came through the open house, but it's just because I open all the snacks.
One, I've never had people take food, or very rarely had people take food.
A cookie. People would take a cookie every once in a while, but other than that, nothing.
People will take drinks, so I try to have drinks. But as far as getting people there, as dumb as it sounds, the biggest thing I've done is put out more signs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which lately, like I didn't do an open house last weekend because I was out of town, but the weekend before that, it was like -20 or something, like wind chill, and it was actually a pretty busy open house, which I was surprised by. But I was up at the Drake Polk Cities, and I tried to put signs in the ground, even try to take the signs that were already there and swap them with mine. I used boiling water, and nothing would work.
I couldn't get anything to work last weekend either.
Yeah, signs really suck this time of year.
Yeah, I did. I've done, I would keep like a basket of goodies that I would take to open houses, like peanut butter crackers, cheese crackers, those kind of things. And no one ever really seemed to like those. I like putting, if we have koozies, putting koozies, around water bottles, people take those sometimes, but coffee, if speak this full circle, right? If we go coffee, they would, getting like the traveler containers or like the catering containers from like Starbucks, or those are not the catering things at Quick Start are $9.99, but getting those at open houses, it creates, I think, a way or a reason for people to stand around and talk to you because they're pouring their coffee and they're getting it ready. And believe it or not, Tyler, a lot of people love coffee, and so
and you won't drink that.
You see, this world is nuts too.
Yeah, but like that, I've noticed like that creates a good opportunity for conversation. So I guess if you're an agent watching this, that's a
Brady. Are you going to start bringing coffee now? Are you sold?
Might have to. $9.99.
$9.99 at Quick Start.
And you could get a dozen glazers. Now, I love a lot about Quick Start. I really, really do. Those glazers are gross. Those glazed donuts, those things are nasty. But you could get those for pretty dang cheap to go along with the coffee.
I used to have, back when I worked at the Cedar Falls store, there was an employee that would always bring over the day old sale that they would have. Like he was doing like a really nice thing. It's like, not only are these donuts not that good, but these are day old.
With them. But I know now that we're back on coffee, did you say earlier that Starbucks sells Caribou coffee?
No, Hy-Vee, the Market Grill has Caribou coffee.
No, the fast and fresh.
Yeah, the fast and fresh. Yeah, they serve Caribou coffee, but Hy-Vee's, a majority of them have a deal with Starbucks, so there's the Starbucks.
Or the fast and freshes have the Starbucks
It's either Starbucks or Smoky Row, but I have
But
I
there are
wanna
some
say-
Caribous too.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
that one on Meredith, I think, is the Caribou. Meredith and I don't know what street that is, but anyways.
Everyone, comment on the video your favorite coffee spot, and thank you for watching. And let's have a good day, guys.
Out here, go show houses. Let's go make some money.
Let's go.